In truth, there is no high or low in this universe, but for the sake of our understanding. At the highest levels of this universe, all is integrated, all is one. At the lower levels, there are different dimensions and different facets of this universe. The universe is essentially unintegrated. And you are no different than the universe. In fact, you mirror and reflect the universe. At your highest level, all is integrated, all is one. Your physical, etheric, feeling, thinking, and spiritual bodies are all one. They are all just energy expressing itself. At a lower level, these aspects of you are like different dimensions of you. They are different expressions of the same consciousness. They are overlaid upon one another. Today I'm going to talk to you about the feeling body. The feeling body is what most people call the emotional body, so you can use these two terms interchangeably. Your feeling body is the truth of who you are at a feeling level. This layer of you contains the imprints of the emotional aspect of your memories, as well as your current emotional state. It is the bridge between our physical selves and our thinking selves. The feeling body interprets and translates the thoughts projected forth by both your consciousness and also by your human mind into feeling states or feeling signatures. This is the first step that takes place for a being to have a first-hand experience of a thought. This enables the thought to be actualized instead of remain abstract, which in turn enables us to learn and gain awareness better and faster, and enables universal as well as personal expansion. Because of the emotional body, man is able to experience their own thoughts. The thoughts are converted into feeling impressions. The physical body then interprets those feeling impressions as if translating the message. It converts those feeling messages into neuropeptides and hormones that cause the physical reactions in our body that we call emotions. Emotions ranging from anger to fear, to stress, to irritation, to love, compassion, hope, and happiness. The feeling body specializes in feeling. Feeling is not only about emotion, it is about sensation and perception. Even though emotion does not exist beyond the physical body, feeling does exist beyond the physical body. An emotion is a physiological experience of a feeling. A feeling is a sensation-based perception and form of awareness. The feeling body is not an actual tangible body like the physical body is, but it can be understood and represented through the format of an actual body. Often you will find that the emotional body represents itself symbolically to you in dream time or in an out-of-body experience through the context of an actual body. With practice, you won't need to facilitate an altered consciousness experience like meditation in order to see someone's emotional body, or at least the symbolic representation of their emotional body. You can switch your focus at will and see that layer of a person's consciousness. Here's an example of the first time I asked for the emotional body of one of my relatives to convey itself as an actual body image. I had always considered myself to be more unstable and affected than this particular relative of mine. After all, he is stoic, he believes in hard work, he has a confident, independent air about him, he has a gotta break some eggs to make an omelet attitude about life. But when his feeling body revealed itself to me, it was gray-blue in color, it was hunched over at the shoulders, it was leaning lopsidedly to its left, its gaze was towards the floor, its movements were contained, and most shockingly of all, it was covered, especially the left side of its face, with large, disfiguring, raised scars. Scars bad enough that it was as if they had been caused by a meat grinder. The energy of my relative's emotional body was the energy of suppression and deeply imprisoned grief. Inherent within this experience is a general tendency that you see within the universe. That is, that when we have a severe wound that is made to one level of our consciousness, the other level will compensate. For example, somebody who is wounded on an emotional level will compensate with their body. Someone who has a very weak or an unhealthy emotional body might have a very strong and confident exterior body, physical body. Or, that same scenario, someone that has a weakened emotional body might display an extreme strength in their spiritual body. They may be able to induce out-of-body experiences at will. They may be able to switch into a more enlightened perspective. That this compensation that's done on one level or another of a being creates a fractured self. It creates a consciousness that is in a state of non-integration. So why is the feeling body so important? It is the translator between the observer-based consciousness of the mind and first-person physical experience-based consciousness of the person. It is what makes us able to experience thought as real. In fact, without your feelings, nothing about your physical reality would seem real. Your sense of life and feeling-based conclusions about life are contained within the feeling body. Your interpretations are contained within the feeling body. Your emotional trauma is contained within the emotional body. If your interpretations of life are experienced as painful emotions, and if your sense of life is painful, and if the feeling-based conclusions you've drawn about life are painful, and if the feeling state of your memories are painful, and your feelings dictate what is real and what is not, then your feeling body will continue to convey those painful messages to the body, which will be interpreted as unpleasant emotion within the body. This leads to an unhappy life. This leads to addiction. This leads to failed relationships. Basically, this leads to the physical reflection of those emotional states. And you cannot stop reliving and reliving the trauma. This means you can't ever be in the present moment. You can't ever be fully present with yourself in the here and now, because the past trauma continues to come up again and again in order to reintegrate itself. It is asking you to become whole. This means that if I experienced an interaction with my father when I was young where I felt abandoned, I will continue to create and manifest more and more and more scenarios over the course of my life where I feel abandoned. If healing must occur on the emotional and feeling level of your life, then you must address those issues on the feeling and emotional level, no other level. But here's the catch. The minute that you decide you need to heal something about your emotions, you have now made an enemy of your own emotions. You have made them not okay. You've decided that you need to fix something about them. And so you are in a state of resistance to them. The minute you say, I need to heal, this implies you have to change or fix something about yourself, which means that you disapprove of yourself. The best way to damage yourself emotionally is to look at yourself as if something needs to change. You know how painful it is to have someone tell you that you are not okay the way you are, that you have to be different. This is how the feeling body feels when we convey that it is not okay, that it needs to be different. If we approach our feeling body with an attitude of I need to fix you, you have just taken a serrated knife to a wound. You have not healed anything. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to completely embrace your emotions and your feelings, no matter how painful or uncomfortable they may be. The alternative is to completely be present with and to sit with your emotions. It's to learn from them, to hear what they want you to hear, to see what they want you to see. It is to be fully present without asking them to change. We call this the process of integration instead of healing. Every day for 20 minutes at least, and anytime you have a particularly intense emotional reaction to something, find a quiet and comfortable place to completely be with how you feel. Observe the sensations and feelings and emotions in your body. They will intensify as you focus on them. Breathe continuously without unnecessary pauses between breaths, breathing in and out the nose. Notice the way you feel. Your entire goal is to be with your feelings, which is to fully be with yourself. If you like, you can repeat one sentence to your emotions like a mantra. I am completely here with you now. Keep in mind that this process is not only for negative emotional states, it's also for positive emotional states. It just so happens that we most often suppress and try to distance ourselves from negative emotional states. That's why they are unintegrated. But some people find that being with their positive emotions is in fact more difficult than being with their negative ones. After you have been with the emotion completely, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and you feel like you want to know more about the emotion, ask yourself 3 questions. The first question is, how do I feel? This is your opportunity to bring the feelings to your conscious awareness and name what is occurring within you. 2. When did I last experience this exact same feeling? Without looking for the answer, allow your being to offer up the answer like a stream washing something downstream to you. 3. When did I first experience this same feeling in my life? Again, without looking for the answer, allow your being to offer up the answer like a stream washing something downstream to you. If nothing comes, be patient with that. The most important thing to realize about this process is that it will unfold exactly as it's meant to. The most crucial part of doing this process is to trust the process fully, because that's to trust yourself to know what it needs to do to reintegrate, which it does. Oftentimes, when we, in our feeling state, our charged feeling state, experience that traumatic memory, the memory happened at such a young age that we did not have our cognitive understanding yet. Our brain was not fully formed. We were in the emotional self instead of in the mental self, because the mental self begins to kick in around 8 years old. So if you have integrated, or in the process of integrating, a memory that happened before age 8, then you will know that you may not get solid images in association with a memory. You may literally only be dealing with emotions that you have no context for. That's okay. Trust yourself that you do not need to have cognitive understanding unless you are meant to have cognitive understanding. Unless having that cognitive understanding, that logical understanding of what is occurring within you emotionally, is a part of you integrating and healing the emotional body. If you find yourself experiencing an emotionally traumatic memory, observe the memory and then mentally alter the memory in a way that feels emotionally positive. This is what they call inner child work. For example, if you're taken into a memory where your father left you, imagine the adult you approaching the child you and enabling the child to feel better. Either become the stable parent for your inner child, or give the child a reliable father figure of their choice, or explain the entire situation objectively to the child and help them to not take the experience so personally. Altering a memory in this way actually changes the causation of that trauma. All things you experience in your life are in essence an effect of the original trauma which you experienced in your childhood. When you go back in your mind and you alter the experience in memory, you alter all of the branches that are coming off of that root, all of the symptoms, which are the surface events that you're experiencing, will change as a result of it. You are affecting the blueprint of your entire reality, because we live in a universe where time does not exist. To demonstrate this process, I'm going to have Blake show us how it's done. I'll be leading him through the process, but in reality, you're going to be leading yourself through this very same process after you have sat with and been with your emotion completely. You want to do this whenever you have a charged emotion. In other words, you want to do this whenever something in your reality upsets you. But you can also do it, in general, as a check-in with yourself. That's what we're going to be doing with Blake today. So, what I want you to do is to close your eyes, and I want you to continuously breathe. So this is what it should sound like. We want no unnecessary pauses between breaths. This allows our consciousness to come to the present moment. Those unnecessary pauses happens only when the consciousness is disconnected from the present moment. When we are breathing in, that takes a bit of effort, but it takes no effort to release that breath. So tell us what you are feeling in your body.
Calm, a little bit of anxiety.
Where's the anxiety?
Kind of like in the center of my body, like in front of my spine, up my spine.
How do you know it's anxiety?
Because it feels like Unease.
Did you see as he just touched his face? What that means is he's trying to get rid of his attention on that painful emotion. That's why a lot of times when we are in meditation, we feel the urge to scratch. That's our body and our being trying to distract us from being with that painful emotion. So when you're doing this process, try to refrain from doing that. Just express to us as if you were describing in a poem what anxiety feels like.
Feels like static on the top of water.
I want you internally to recite to yourself, I am completely here with you now, to that feeling.
Out loud.
You'll be doing it internally, mentally, when you're doing this process. You could say it out loud right now, if you wanted to.
I am completely here with you in this process.
Now I want you to ask that feeling sensation within your body. When was the last time I experienced this? When was the last time that this signature came to be?
When was the last time or when was the first time?
Last time.
Over on the table over there.
Does the emotion want you to know anything about when you were over on the table? Any images or? The answer might be no, it doesn't matter. What we're doing right now is becoming completely present with that particular emotion. We're getting to know it better.
Wants me to stop drinking coffee?
Interesting.
Or that it is coffee. I don't know how to tell it apart.
That's okay. We don't want to take our thinking mind into the emotions. We want the emotions to come up and meet the thinking mind if it wants to. So then I want you to ask yourself, when is the first time I ever experienced this particular emotion?
When is the first time I ever experienced this emotion?
Keeping in mind that your thinking mind will want to give you a laid out scenario, but don't let your mind go looking for that scenario. Sit with this. If you are meant to receive images, or if you are meant to receive any cognitive understanding of that particular emotion, it will come to you. Otherwise, you're most likely dealing with something you experienced at such a young age that you had no way of cognitively understanding your experience, only emotionally understanding your experience.
In the crib, wondering if someone's going to come back.
Okay, so how did that come to you? Was it first-person perspective? Was it third-person perspective?
Third person.
So you were watching yourself.
Yeah.
What that means is that this particular memory was traumatic enough that the consciousness separated from its first-person experience of it. This is the heart of suppressed memory.
That was a mix. I saw both.
That's good. That means that when you're reintegrating with first-person perspective, it means you're coming back into welcoming the experience.
Totally experiencing bulbous tiny right now.
Okay, well, close your eyes. We want that. Bulbous teeny is an experience that you have on a physiological level, oftentimes when we're dealing with emotions that are too intense. It's the feeling of being very, very large and then very, very small. So he's having a physiological reaction to the reintegration of this particular traumatic memory and emotion.
Okay. Just be
Sit
here.
with it. Do you see that child? Now that you have been with that emotion, as long as you're not wanting to escape from that emotion, it's time for you to alter that memory. This is your opportunity to do whatever you need to do to make that child feel emotionally different. Or to be, rather than say that, let's say to be completely with that child's emotion. Do we need to pick the child up?
Yeah.
Then do.
Myself or somebody else?
Which feels better?
I don't know. I can't understand myself picking up myself.
Who would the child want to have pick it up? An angel, a guide? Who?
Sure, a light being.
Okay, well, now imagine a light being going over and picking up that baby and comforting the baby and telling the baby that it's not alone. Whatever words need to be conveyed, or emotions, or actions need to be conveyed in order to be present with that child in that state of emotion. That's what we want to do.
I don't know what will make, I mean, this bulbous teeny is
And be with that
intense.
emotion. See, right now it's so intense that you want to escape from the emotion. But that's what we do when we smoke cigarettes. That's what we do when we try to exercise. That's what we do when we get other people to act in a way that makes us feel better. We're trying to escape the emotion, which doesn't allow for integration. Breathe continuously into that emotion.
It's feeling better. It's okay.
Now can you watch the child being picked up by the light being? Enable that light being to tell the child that it's never going to be left behind.
I'm trying to feel like what that would feel like being picked up, but I can't really get there because I'm still in this other feeling.
Well, do you feel like you need to sit with that emotion longer?
Yeah.
Then do that. Don't forget to breathe. The minute we stop continuously breathing, we have gone back into time instead of bringing time forward into where we are. We are no longer in the present.
Wow. Words of affirmation would make it feel better.
Good.
Which is weird because I'm usually so resistant to that.
That's part of why you're so resistant to that.
Why? Because
No, that's for another date.
Why?
You will find out the why of your life and the meaning of your life and the coincidence and the coherence, I should say, between everything once you start doing this process. So I want you to try something.
Okay.
This is an intuitive thing for me. I want you to try picking that baby up and fashioning a carrier around an aspect of your consciousness, your adult consciousness. A carrier around your body, like a baby carrier. Put that baby inside of that carrier and say, I'm never going to put you down. You're never going to be in a crib again.
Okay.
How do you feel emotionally?
Not sure I trusted that.
What is it going to take for the child to trust that? Time?
I suppose. I don't know.
Ask the child. Even though they can't use words because they're that young, they can convey emotions. It was you. You'll have an internal knowing.
Play or something.
Then do that. This is our opportunity as adults to meet our child, internal child's needs. This is our opportunity to be completely with them in the feeling that they feel, to enable them to feel emotionally better.
I've experienced this bulbous teeny like throughout my whole life. It's more so when I was like under 10. But I've never felt it this intense. Maybe back then was when I felt it most intensely, but right now it's just so heavy.
That means that that feeling is its own feeling signature, which is attached to the other one, which you originally went looking for, and this is the one that wants to be reintegrated now.
Okay.
So what you want to do is stay completely with the bulbous teeny
Yeah.
itself, and ask those same questions of it. When was the last time I felt this? When was the first time I felt this?
The last time I felt this was a few months ago, a year ago.
Conditions?
I don't know, maybe in bed, just stressed about a situation.
That's why it's linked to stress.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. When was the first time I experienced this experience?
feel like if I put a number on it, it's like 2.
Don't put a number on it. I just want you to be with those emotions. You may not, this may be so young that you don't have any cognitive understanding of this emotion.
Probably.
Just go back. When you ask yourself that question, instantly your being will transport you to that original emotion.
I almost feel like I've never felt like this before.
Okay, explain it. Describe it.
It's just, I don't know, my hand feels like it's like a building, and I'm...
Good. Continually breathe into that feeling.
This is so heavy.
Mm-hmm. I am completely here with you now.
Completely here with you
Ask if there's anything this feeling wants you to know. Keep in mind that this process may be very long for you to do. Somebody like Blake, who's been in the practice of identifying their emotions and being with their emotions for a great many years, will be able to facilitate this process much quicker. So don't be upset with yourself if this takes you a long time to do.
Is there anything this feeling wants me to know right now?
Or see. Or hear.
I feel like I'm swimming around in like infant memories, kind of. Maybe even birth.
Mm.
It might be birth.
Might be in utero.
Yeah. Maybe right before birth.
Yes.
Yeah, like coming out of the womb, I guess. Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought it was impossible to remember something like this.
Oh no. In fact, we all remember it. We've just suppressed the memory.
Yeah, it's coming out.
Do you believe in suppressed memory yet?
I guess so. Yeah, it's like the feeling of birth. It's like falling out. It's like I'm so heavy that I'm falling out, or so suppressed.
Well, when the waters break, that's the first time you will actually feel the pull of gravity.
Yeah.
Did that occur to you?
Yeah, it feels like gravity. It feels like I'm gonna fall through the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sucks.
So how do you support this baby?
Uh,
Just re-experience it. Go through the birth process.
how do I support it? I don't catch it.
Just be with it. You're not ready yet. Can you feel that? The first, well, it wasn't the very first, but one of the first times you abandoned yourself emotionally is when you were experiencing that and you wanted to pull back from that. So right now, in the process of reintegration, has you going back through that process with yourself.
Okay. So.
Okay. Can you go back?
I'm just like shaking and heavy, and actually now I'm cold.
Classic birth experience.
It's cold out here.
Do you feel like you want to be with those emotions, or would you like to change the causation?
What do you mean?
Changing the causation means to make some alteration to the causation of that emotion. How could you make that experience different?
Understanding.
Yes. It's important that he just said that, because even the act of observing and being with this has altered it forever. Do you feel like you need to do anything more with the memory? Do you feel like you need to witness the baby being supported and comforted and in a space of warmth? What needs to happen?
I don't think so, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of going through that and maybe knowing what it is now
Mm-hmm.
was really good.
Keep breathing.
It was like a relief.
That's because you were completely present with yourself. This was one of the first times you did not abandon yourself. Which you do abandon yourself anytime you want to get away from an emotion that you're feeling. Or change it. Or fix it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, the whole self-help industry is out the window. So now, with your cognitive understanding, seeing as how you experienced that feeling we just went into is something that's happening in real time because it was triggered, that memory, your birth trauma memory, was triggered by something happening today, which is nothing but a reflection, a mirror of that original experience. So what experience do you find keeps replicating itself throughout your life as a mirror of that original birth experience? Because that is a feeling signature that continues when?
Stress.
Mm-hmm. And why are you in stress right now?
I have no idea.
Are you kidding me?
What? Just filming?
We're moving.
Yeah, we're moving away from home. Being...
That, my
We're
friend,
moving.
is to be present with yourself completely. Thank you, Blake. Writing about your experience with being with your feeling body is a good idea because it will not only make your emotional body feel as if you care about it, it will help you to understand and integrate the experience you have just had. Keep this in mind as you go about your life and your day. Anytime you experience something as upsetting or uncomfortable, it is a triggered memory. You are not, in fact, living anything new in your life. You are experiencing nothing but reflections from your childhood. There is no exceptions to this rule. The reason that we are so reactive, we get upset, we blame the person who's coming towards us and causing us to feel that way, is because we are unwilling to fully be with our emotional body, to be with our feeling impressions, and to reintegrate them. So don't shoot the messenger. These experiences which cause extreme emotion to arise within us are messengers from our subconscious. They're begging you to reintegrate your emotional body. They're begging you to reintegrate and become whole with yourself. So listen to them and be with them and have a good week.